Hello again, everyone. I hope you're all doing very, very well out there. And I went back and checked the last time I did the update, and it was over a month ago. And I just kind of realized there's a lot more things to pack into the update than I thought there was, because some things happened over a month ago. So a lot of things to get up on. But let me let you know what's been happening lately behind the scenes, because there's not been a lot of stuff posted on the channel for about 2 weeks now. So I want to get this out for that one thing. And also I have things queued up on Patreon right now. One is our commentary to Arachnophobia, the 1990 horror comedy starring Jeff Daniels, Julian Sands, and John Goodman. That's very much up there right now. And another video that I just finished, which was something I was planning another video that I'm still going to get to, and it's the one media pickup I have. But last weekend I wasn't feeling like I was going to get anywhere close to getting up on that thing, so I was kind of like, okay, I got to figure out something to put together kind of fast. Took a lot longer to edit than I expected, but there's a retro video series episode I did. It wasn't exactly kind of like home video related, but kind of sort of something here and there. Because a couple years ago, there was an entire idea I had about exploring a bunch of rarities from the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. A lot of things were like stuff that was on like a special edition Laserdisc or VHS set for the first film, or the weird extra scenes that are in the Freddy's Dead German Laserdisc or something else like that. A lot of things are kind of sporadic here up on YouTube. You can find them if you're looking for them. But they're all in like kind of questionable quality. I don't actually have sources myself for me to pull from. So it's kind of an idea that kind of floated around. I never really got around to it. But one of them was the idea of exploring the different versions of Dawkins' Dream Warriors, because there are several different versions that were mixed. Several different recorded versions are out there. And it was always a thing back in my mind, because I had a cassette single from years and years ago. I mentioned a little bit on our commentary we did back in the day. But I really kind of wanted to do a video that kind of focused on and covered the full spectrum of what each version was, from the demo to the single, the album version to the re-record version. So I went down and actually did that video. Like I said, it's up on Patreon right now. Does have a copyright claim on it from some of the music used the whole thing from. A longer section of music where I was kind of splicing, like doing like a crossfade for one version to nice in like the chorus or something like that, just to kind of show how the sound of the thing evolved. And that definitely caught the copyright ID. I do have a dispute in right now, but since the commentary will be released shortly, I can wait out the copyright on that just a little bit longer, maybe a couple extra days, see if it goes anywhere early in the week. Otherwise, I'll be working on an alternate edit that kind of trims that down, try to focus it down, because usually anything longer than 8 or 9 seconds catches the content ID stuff, and so it'd be very tough to do that for kind of splicing that together. For my 3 seconds of each version of the song wouldn't play as well, but I'll play around with it, see what I can do to kind of subvert that entire thing. Everything else, hopefully everything else cleared in that regard, but that was the main thing that caught it. I don't know if a re-upload would catch something else, but I try to keep all the other individual clips that were kind of used without me talking over it very sparse and very short. So hopefully that averts it if I can get this other section trimmed down otherwise. So it was just a side video I really want to get to, and kind of, I thought it was something I could get up on in one day. I could research everything. I knew everything generally. In a general sense, I knew everything that I need to know about it. I just need to do some brush ups and sort of things, and just listen to each version over and over and over again to just get everything bored in, to have a certain analysis and stuff like that. So hopefully you'll find yourselves interested in that idea there. So it's about a 17-minute video, so it's not terribly long, and it's a nice informative type of thing to talk about. A really fairly underappreciated, one of the 80s metal bands or whatnot, one of those pop metal bands that didn't quite get as much traction as the really big ones, your Motley Crues, your Guns N' Roses, stuff like that. One that still has maintained a very kind of strong following after all these decades. But hopefully you guys will find that interesting whenever it does get up there. But right now, if you're if you're a Patreon backer, you can watch that one off the $3 tier. For anything moving beyond that, we did record our commentary for Rambo Last Blood, so that'll be coming up later on. We were kind of batting around the whole thing, because I did post a poll up on the community tab, because there's 2 different versions of the entire thing that were released in 2 different. It was weird. They were both released simultaneously, but all in different markets. So like the US, the UK, and a couple of different ones got an 89-minute version, but certain other markets got an extended 100-minute long version. And the fact is, I just kind of ran out of time to really kind of sit down and watch the full extended version up on streaming and stuff like that. So Steve had the full 5-disc franchise set on Blu-ray, so I told him, just bring your copy over, we'll just watch the shorter version. Because there was at least a little bit of footage on YouTube, not officially, but someone put up some of the more longer sequences for me to at least watch a couple of the things to get some context for what was in those sequences. But in general, we just watched the shorter version because it was just easier for us to kind of get up on that. And it was just harder for us to kind of sit down and watch the movie again and then watch the movie as we sat down for it. Just didn't have the time for it. So, despite the fact that I put a whole poll, and most of the poll either said they either had both versions or they had the extended version, anything like that, it just felt like for us to be able to comment on it, because no sense in watching the longer version if I haven't at least sat down and watched the full thing and myself to kind of give more context to it. And Steve hasn't watched the other version at all, so he's watching stuff for the first time that he's never seen before. So, and it just didn't kind of work out as optimally in that regard. But hopefully you guys will still enjoy what we have to discuss in that commentary when it does drop. Now, moving on from here, we got a lot of different things. Got a lot of things cooking right now. I'll sidestep into the one media pickup I had to give you a little bit of a story of what came around to it. But I picked up the Roy Scheider film 52 pickup from Kino Lorber. This is the reissued version, which they put on a BD50. It has better bitrate, same master, but better bitrate and new bonus features on it. Because the other week, a couple weeks ago, I actually sat down and decided to, I don't know what, I caught up on something. I was kind of just looking around for something to kind of like watch some stuff I had watched before and kind of delve into certain things here and there. I just started Roy Scheider like night to night marathon. Now, it didn't quite go the same direction I intended to go, but I did first sit down and watch 52 Pickup, which was on Tubi. So I was able to sit down and watch it, and didn't think it was 100% like A+, but the fact that the movie stayed in my thoughts every single day for about the next week, that's when I pulled the trigger to grab the Blu-ray from Kino Lorber and decide, that I'm going to end up doing this as my next video. Now, as I said, the rest of the whole thing didn't go quite as planned, because the next day, the guys over the So It's Come to This movie podcast, Charlie and Eric, actually did an episode on 2010. And I listened to the whole thing. I was actually fantastically excited about the whole thing, so I actually sat down and watched it that night. I was about to break out my Laserdisc, but when it was actually up on Netflix in HD, so I had to watch it in the best quality possible, and I was very much impressed all over again by the Peter Hyams film. And so there was that, and then the next day I had a really, really bad day at work. It just really just grinded me down to shit. And so I'm just like, I gotta go home, I gotta watch Jaws. I just gotta sit down and watch Jaws. If I can keep the Scheider thing going, but not go off the same track, I gotta watch one of the best films ever made to make myself feel better. And it did. But there are a couple of ones I was kind of looking up to kind of get up on top of. One of them was the 7-Ups, which is not really officially available anywhere right now. It's out of print. It's not up on VOD. I think someone did put it up here on YouTube, unofficially. So that was kind of like earmarked, but I never got around to it. And there was maybe, I don't know, there was one or two other things I might have been thinking about here. I was thinking about Romeo's Bleeding, which is technically a Gary Oldman film, but Roy Scheider has a supporting role in the whole thing. And I've had it on DVD for like 15 years, and I've never watched the damn thing. But as I got sidetracked and did other things, then when the kind of time came when I was having days off, I really wasn't up to really kind of doing anything. I really couldn't get up to kind of muster up the energy to do a lot of things for a couple of weekends. And so I just really kind of hung around and did a whole lot of nothing. So, but the fact is, I grabbed this one I had by Amazon Prime subscription. And I was like, great. The fact it comes with a slipcover, looks really nice. The fact that Kino Lorber, even if they'll re-up their license on certain things, even if they're not doing like new 4Ks or something like that. I like the fact that if they're reissuing the license, they're at least going back to some of the older Blu-rays they did on like BD25s, and maybe kind of low bit rates, not the greatest type of thing. So they're going back in, up in the bit rates on the encodes, maybe throwing a few extra bonus features. Maybe it's a commentary from a film historian or something else like that. This one has something like that. Also has isolated music track with commentary from the composer. So that's kind of a nice type of thing. One with TV spots and a trailer. stuff like that. So nothing specifically from the actual makers of the film, but there was some. I did find a John Frankenheimer documentary on YouTube that did have Frankenheimer and Scheider and Anne Margaret actually discussing the film a little bit here and there. So it's a little something to kind of pull upon, especially for the edit of the video. I can use the talking head segments, kind of splice in here and there, and use a little bit of the information that was culled from that. So it'll be a nice video that I'm going to get up to very, very shortly here. So that's a good type of thing on that regard. And I did mention the whole thing of another retro video series thing, and there's a Star Wars one for the Attack of the Clones IMAX version. I'm kind of projecting it to kind of get done around May 4th, because we have the whole May the 4th be with you type of thing that gets hashtags and stuff like that all over the place. Figure I'll kind of maybe aim for that, so probably about 2 weeks or something else like that. Probably aim for trying to making that happen there, so I can kind of get a little bit of an extra pull in that regard and stuff like that. So as they're kind of doing the whole, they're doing a Phantom Menace full re-release, but they're actually doing like a full Skywalker saga cinema marathon, like a one-day type of thing. I think it's on the 4th. Not going to this thing. I'm not sitting there. That's 9 films. Each film is roughly two hours plus. Sit in a theater for 18, 19 hours. You can not make me do that. You cannot make me do that. Especially for a franchise where I don't like most films. So, leave it at that. But anything like that. So that I'll probably project to get up on that maybe about then. But I felt like I really needed a break from the Star Wars stuff. It kind of filled in for some variety and stuff that I really, really like, really want to talk about. So we'll get up on 52 pickup shortly. But getting up on the commentary stuff, as again, we still have another one to drop after Arachnophobia, being Rambo Last Blood. But as me and Steve workshop things as we get together and record stuff and have a lunch break in between, we discussed kind of filling out the schedule, because most of our schedule's kind of filled up for the year. We got a couple of spots here and there. But one thing Steve was very much particular about eventually getting up to is, as we already did the more recent version of It, the Chapter 1, Chapter 2 type of stuff from a couple of years back, he was kind of up on actually doing the original miniseries. And so we batting things around, trying to figure out what to do next month, because we had nothing on the schedule for May. So I said, well, we got to do this as one session, essentially. We got to do them at the same time. We can't just do like maybe one month and kind of go off for a couple of weeks and come back to the other one. We have to do this in one shot. So I figure May's kind of the only one where you have the complete month open to not do anything. So where we're going to do this, I don't know if we're going to do it release-wise. We'll figure things out as we get closer up to it. But we're at least going to record it in 2 parts. Because I figure we try to do it similar to the Night 1, Night 2 miniseries release. Even though the only home video versions that had the original broadcast version preserved were the old Laserdisc and the VHS set. Everything on DVD and Blu-ray have kind of edited the whole thing around to be much more of a 3+ hour long feature, which we're not really going to do. As we've kind of had a little bit of a fill of stuff on that regard. I think we'd be a little bit more fresh if we record like the first 90 or 100 minutes or so as one thing, then we do our break in the middle, go off, eat, and come back and record the second half of it. So right now the idea in place is kind of record them as 2 separate things, maybe treat them as 2 separate things and kind of give a timestamp when we go off into the second one and stuff like that. We'll kind of figure it out a little bit closer to once we get to it, because Steve will check his copy that he has and trying to figure out what the timestamps are and stuff like that. So once we get closer to it, we'll have a definite sensibility of actually how we're presenting it and how we're releasing it. So that's the idea. And as Tim Curry's birthday was yesterday, we decided to actually announce that up on social media. So anything like that. So we'll get around to that in due time. So guys, you can look forward to Arachnophobia, then Rambo Last Blood. Then a couple of weeks after that, we'll be dealing with Stephen King's It with Tim Curry and all that type of stuff. So that's in place, and move on from there. Anything else video-wise is undetermined at this point in time, but a lot of things to talk about. I have, since the last update, I've gone off to the theater twice and seen 2 horror movies, because the last time I was up, I was talking about seeing Late Night with the Devil, but I was kind of batting around whether or not, because there was a lot of really overpriced screenings going on. But the fact is, one of Steve's old favorite theaters before he kind of moved up further north from where he was a classic cinema way out towards this. It's the last thing left in the dead mall nearby. But I went there. They had a really nice price. I think it was about $7 or $8 for a 4 o'clock screening. Wonderful type of stuff. It was really wonderful theater. Really clean, well kept. I liked how the sensibility of the whole thing was. It was a very nice presentation, very nice staff. I was very pleased going to it. I was fairly well impressed. I very much enjoyed the film. Going off and watching this whole thing presented as this like archive, this sort of late night program that kind of got warped around with all the supernatural, paranormal type of stuff that was maybe a little ambiguous here and there and stuff like that. I thought it was a pretty good film. I thought it was really solidly put together type of stuff. But today I went off to see Abigail, the new horror film from the team that gave us with the directing bodies behind the last 2 Scream films, not quite the same writing team. There was one, the writers, Guy Busick, was part of the writing team on those 2, but he was teamed up with someone else on this one. So I thought this one was really damn good. I thought it was really damn good. It shows Radio Silence's quality as filmmakers and directors. They can really handle material very, very well. And the cast was fantastic. Dan Stevens, Melissa Barrera, Catherine Newton, a whole bunch of people in this whole thing. Giancarlo Esposito, which everyone knows is fantastic. I've known he's fantastic since the 90s. A lot of people took until Breaking Bad to find that out. I knew it back when he was on Homicide: Life in the Street and in Usual Suspects. Knew it way back then. You guys took a while to catch up the whole thing, but he's always been fantastic, and he's great in this thing too. Everyone's fantastic. The gore in this thing, the blood is just saturated. It's so damn good. They're having a lot of fun with this. It's a really fun film that would have been a little bit better if the whole twist of the story wasn't given away in the marketing. The fact of who gets abducted, what they exactly are, gets spoiled in the trailer. It's kind of the marketing hook of the entire film. But I feel like the thing is played out where the fact is you're supposed to have this twist later on that you don't see coming, and would have played better that way. But anything like that, I thought was a really fun thing that has twists aplenty. Stuff keeps happening in this whole thing that you're not expecting. People get off to here, there, everywhere, and things are just happening in really fantastic fashion. Really well-drawn characters. The thing is just directed and acted with so much zeal, so much passion in what they're doing, and having a lot of fun with it, like I said. I just thought it was a really, really fun piece of work that has a lot of smart things in it. A lot of smart pieces of storytelling, a lot of smart character beats. I think they were really well fleshed out. I thought it was a really, really fun film that you guys should really support. I know the CinemaScore wasn't great on it from whoever was being pulled by CinemaScore, but I thought a lot of the chatter I'm hearing online, everyone's loving this thing. So much so. Everyone I'm seeing up and down on the feeds, they're having great things to say about it. So I definitely recommend and endorse you guys go check this one out very, very shortly. I think it's really well done. So that's good type of stuff. And I've been back in the audiobook type of phase. Because, as I think I was mentioning last time, I was like, I forgot to cancel my Audible subscription, so I got charged for another month. Oddly enough, I did place the cancellation there, but I didn't redeem my last credit before the thing got canceled, so I kind of missed out. But I did grab something I was very, very much interested in, and I was very much satisfied for, was a Audible original called Hunting Game, which has an all-star cast. It has Kristen Ritter, who I absolutely love, and Anthony Mackie, and a bunch of other people who did. This is high quality production. It's a nice kind of kidnapping thriller where Kristen Ritter plays a cop. He's kind of stuck in between her ex and bad things that he's doing with his kidnapping scheme and caught in the middle of the investigation. I liked it so much. Just the production quality of it was high grade. The mix in Dolby Atmos, everything done, because they don't have a regular like narrator. I think this thing was entirely produced just as an Audible audio podcast, audio book and whatnot. And so there's not like anyone doing, like telling you what the actions are going through the thing, but the sound design so much gives you a sense of space and action and ambiance and stuff like that. It really just creates an overall world as if you're listening to a film, but it's very much giving you a lot of audio clues and whatnot, audio sort of signifiers, what's happening in all these scenes and all that type of stuff. It's a wonderful production. I thought it was really damn good, and it went by breezy. I was listening to it almost every day throughout a whole week. I think it was about 6 hours, I think it was, roughly around there. I should clarify that in regards, but I thought it was really damn good. It's Obviously, because it was a kidnapping thriller, it gave me little touches of ransom in there in that regard, just because of the entire uh, setup, the genre or whatnot. But archive this thing. I don't know where to look for it. But it's from Candace Fox, and it's a really, I thought, just really smartly put together thriller with really well drawn characters. Again, to say that type of thing, it's actually 4.5 hours long, so it's a real breezy listen, really easy to get through. I thought everyone put in a top notch, rock solid quality. Again, I love Kristen Ritter, Jessica Jones, Night Books, all this type of stuff. I'm just hearing a lot of great things. I'm very much attracted to whoever she's involved in, so I really want to check out a lot of things that she's done and she's going to be having released that she was involved in shortly and stuff like that. So I love her. She did a fantastic job in this role, this detective, Esme Compron. She did a wonderful job. The writing was really damn good with all the dialogue and motivations and the emotions of the characters. I thought it was really damn good. So if you have Audible, if you just want to grab it up or whatnot, I definitely endorse it. I think it was a really good, solid piece of work. And I've been delving back into trying to finish up my Star Wars audiobooks for the end of the Thrawn trilogy, which I've been trying to get. I've been on and off on this whole thing for 9-10 months. It's been tough. It's been, because they're very long. They're like 14, 15, 16 hours long. So just kind of get a little fatigued with it, but I've been trying. I've been listening to it more regularly the last couple of days to just get through it. Not that it's arduous, but I'm just trying to make a distinct sort of effort to kind of get through this audiobook to make sure I finish it, I enjoy the rest of it, and I absorb everything. Because even though it's been months since I've listened to it at all, once I start listening to it, it's like, okay, all the stuff kind of just falls back into place. It's very easy to remember most of what's been going on in the story and stuff like that. So, and the fact that Mark Thompson is such a great voice actor, creating dozens of different voices for all these characters, and they're all very distinct. You don't kind of lose one in between one another. So he's creating such a great world of characters here through his performance that just like it creates such a interesting listen overall. So that's great type of stuff. I'm really enjoying that. So I did grab some old Star Trek audiobooks that are maybe about 2 or 3 hours long, stuff like that, abridged version, but they have like the actual actors from the shows like John Delancey or Jonathan Frakes or Michael Dorn actually doing a lot of the stuff in that regard. So I grabbed those up for much more shorter listens. That'd be enjoyable, even though I'm not getting the complete story. Just something to kind of pass the time and kind of delve myself into and stuff like that here and there. So here and there and everywhere. That's all I have on that front. And not much else new. Not much else new. I am focusing on finally taking a week off from work at the end of May, because a lot of things I won't get into and stuff like that, but there's a lot of personnel upheavals and short staffing and stuff like that here and there and everywhere. A lot of people also trying to take time off in the next month or so, and I was focusing on, because I already took the weekend off of the 24th, the 25th, and the 26th, because that's when my Plush concert is, where I have the VIP meet and greet and everything like that. So I already took that weekend off. I feel like, well, if everyone's taking off like the week before this, I'm just gonna, after I get through that week, I'm just gonna take time off, paid time off, take most of the next week off, if not all of it, and just enjoy myself. So because about a year ago this week, it was when I was taking my week off. I went off to the Field Museum. I saw the Star Trek Picard IMAX finale, did a whole bunch of stuff, and I was just kind of trying to bounce around, trying to figure out something to do. If I'm going to take a week off, I want to have some things lined up, some things I want to go out and do instead of just sit around the house all day and do nothing. That's no fun. I just want to go out and do something. So I was kind of at a loss, because there is this James Bond exhibit at the Museum of Science Industry in Chicago, but it's kind of pricey. I was like, I don't know. The one free day that the Museum of Science Industry gave was on a Sunday, which is not, I don't want to go on the weekends when there's like 1,000 fucking people there. And it's like a free day for Illinois residents. Everyone's going to fucking show up. I don't want to go there. It's going to be crowded as shit. It's not going to be all that fun. And so it's like, well, I don't want to pay like 45, 50 some odd dollars to go to this exhibit when I've already got to drive in the city and stuff like that. It just felt like it was something I was kind of curiously interested in, but it's not like saying I want to pay 50 some odd bucks to go see or whatnot. It's just something kind of curious and interesting to pass the time and go out and do something. And so just like, not that interested to do it and put down that much money. So I figure, well, hell, if I'm going to the concert, that's a good way to start off a kind of week off and whatnot. And it's going to be Memorial Day weekend and stuff like that. So I'll find something. It'll at least be almost fairly certain to be pretty nice weather. Because right now it's dark and gloomy outside. It's like, in the last week, we've gone from like 60-degree weather to something around the 40s. And up and down here and there and everywhere. It's been bright and sunny. It's been raining. It's been dark and gloomy. It's just all over the place right now. It's not a good week to take off, to go out and do stuff. So it's kind of a nice thing that I didn't pick this same week to go out and do stuff, because it's not pleasant out there whatsoever. So hopefully by the end of May, it'll be nice and sunny and nice and warm, and I'll be more keen to actually go out and do things and have some exercise and stuff like that, because I do need to I put some weight back on over the last year, so I have to work on bringing it back down and get some exercise. But it's kind of hard when the weather's in so much flux and you can't really go out and do a nice long walk or something else like that. So, you know, you guys have always continued to compliment me on how much better I look versus how I was the last couple of years back. I do have to kind of work on bringing it down and kind of curb the snacking and stuff like that on my sugar-free cookies and stuff like that. So I've been more conscious about not eating quite as much in that regard and kind of focusing down and whatnot. So it's little by little here. So I'm just gotta watch that type of stuff and make sure I get my diet under control in that regard. But anything like that, I don't really think there's anything else to discuss. That's really all there is. So not today. Probably work on it more tomorrow, getting up on the 52 pickup type of thing. Do my research, get in the zone. But I want to take some time this weekend, since I did so much work getting the commentary done and the other retro video series thing done. They're both on Patreon now. To kind of have to give them a little bit of space in when I'm going to release them on YouTube, despite the fact I just had 2 weeks of space of releasing nothing. So it's all over the place. So I'm going to be releasing this, obviously, since you're watching this. Then probably Sunday, Monday, you'll get the commentary. Then a little bit later on, the retro video series thing will drop. So I don't want to drop things one day after another. Give them a little bit of space to breathe and have everyone catch up and not bombard you too much with stuff. So hopefully you guys will be interested in one thing or another, or all of it. And that's all I have for you this time. So once we have more interesting things to discuss, there's certain other things we have. Like I said, we got things planned out for most of the next rest of the year for commentaries. We got a whole bunch of stuff. Like we're eventually gonna do a commentary on the Batman, Matt Reeves film. I kind of planned it maybe in October, because the film kind of has the Halloween sort of setting and kind of vibe or whatnot. It kind of plays in the whole thing. So, but well, we'll see how that lands, because we're going to jockey a few things around. We want to get up to like Creepshow, with Steve lent me his copy to watch, get myself refreshed on it. Because we just did a whole bunch of George Romero stuff. We keep doing the King stuff, so it's a perfect thing in there. And of course, Tom Savini, Greg Nicotero worked on the whole thing. So a lot of great topics we've come to really enjoy talking about. So that might be an October Halloween thing as well. So we're looking at different things. Of course, we got the Conjuring stuff coming up about every quarter. So probably about June and maybe September, we'll close off the Conjuring trilogy in that regard. Whenever they get around to a fourth one, we'll probably get around to talking about that one eventually after the fact and whatnot. But anything like that, guys. So we got a lot of things. I don't want to talk about too many things coming up in that regard, but we got a lot of things packed in with a few spots open for a little wiggle room, flexibility, some spontaneous ideas we might come up with along the way. So guys, thanks so much for watching everything. You always get up the Super Things feature here on YouTube to contribute anything directly to the channel. Support us here. Patreon for all that stuff that's already up there right now to preview in that regard before it goes live on YouTube. And of course, commenting, shares, likes, subscribe if you haven't, guys. That's always very much a good thing. And hit that notification bell type of thing to always make sure you get push notifications, stuff like that through your mobile device. To make sure that every time something gets uploaded, you'll know about it. You can put it in your watch later list or something else like that. But just so you're aware of it when it hits, hit that stuff up in that regard. So guys, for me and Steve, thanks so much for watching everything and engaging here. So guys, thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.